If you're working long hours but still not seeing the results you want, the issue probably isn't your workload, but your timing. In this episode, we're talking about how to match the right tasks to the right times so that you can finally work with your energy instead of against it. You'll learn how to identify peak productivity windows, schedule high value work when it counts the most, and avoid the time traps that kill your momentum. So, if you're ready to stop spinning your wheels and start making real progress, don't miss this episode of Profit with a Plan podcast. Hey, entrepreneurs, are you working too hard for too little profit? Well, welcome to Profit with a Plan podcast, where we help you scale smarter, increase profitability, and build a business that's worth more, whether you keep it or you sell it. I'm Marcia Riner, business growth strategist and the profit booster behind Infinite Profit. I've helped countless entrepreneurs to turn their businesses into highly profitable and sale-ready assets, so they enjoy more income now and a bigger payday later. Join me for practical strategies, expert insights, and proven steps to make your business more profitable, more valuable, and built to last. By the way, today's episode is sponsored by Infinite Profit, where we don't just talk profit, we deliver it. But before we dive in, I've got something really special for you. If you feel like you're doing everything right, but not seeing the results you want, it might be time for a fresh perspective. That's why we're offering a free growth and marketing audit. And in just one powerful session, we'll uncover opportunities to drive real growth for your business. And if you're ready to make an impact, visit profitbooster.biz and get started. All right, let's jump into today's episode. Our guest today is Daphne Valcin, and Daphne is the founder of Valcin Strategic Solutions. She holds the highest International Coaching Federation credentials as a master certified coach and has coached over 400 clients across 4 countries. She is a results-driven executive coach and corporate trainer, featured on Forbes.com, who is passionate about supporting clients with career advancements. Hang on. Oh my goodness, hang on. Now let's jump into today's episode. Our guest today is Daphne Valcin. Daphne is the founder of Valcin Strategic Solutions. She holds the highest International Coaching Federation credentials as a master certified coach and has coached over 400 clients across 4 countries. She is a results-driven executive coach and corporate trainer and has been featured on Forbes.com. She is passionate about supporting clients with career advancements, business growth, employee engagement, and team culture development. Some of Daphne's clients include leaders from Fortune 50 and Fortune 500 companies, including United Healthcare, Lockheed Martin, and JP Morgan Chase. Wow, those are some heavy hitters, Daphne. Welcome to Profit with a Plan podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, this is exciting. So, we all have challenges in our life when we're thinking about getting tasks done and everything. But before we get started on that topic, I'd love to figure out how you got into this space. I mean, you didn't start in, at your lemonade stand when you were 9, right?
No, I didn't. However, I did sell Rice Krispie treats
Oh,
in high school.
mom.
I did have a whole Rice Krispie treat business. Anyway, but
Yes.
where it started was I have been someone whom people would have called a leader for many years of my life, starting in my youth. And I always found a passion in tapping into the potential of people and their ideas. I spoke at my college graduation at the University of Florida, being honored for just the leadership that I had on campus. But the way that translated after undergrad was the jobs that I did were mostly around either education, so managing programs, or around public relations. My undergraduate degree is in public relations. I was a public affairs manager, for example, for an ed policy organization. But the through line was always tapping into the potential of people and those ideas. So in 2014, after being about to try to get my MBA and work at Deloitte, that was my dream, I fell in love instead and decided to leave all my dreams in the
Oh
DC
no.
area and move to Florida, to a city that I had never heard of, to marry my husband. And the way that my husband is, it would have went better our first year to just be settled down in that city as opposed to trying to do my MBA, being wherever in the country that I wanted to be. That was my plan. And so I thought, what can I do that allows me to still walk in my purpose and my mission, that will bring these things together, but would be able to grow with my family if we were to have a bigger family someday. And for me, that was coaching.
Wow.
And so that was in 2014. Since then, as you mentioned, I've served many clients, over 400 individual clients, that are leadership development clients, and over 200 organizations, and had the chance to work with Deloitte on one of my contracts that I've done a few years ago, which was a full circle moment. So that's kind of how I ended up becoming the person that I am today and doing the work that I'm doing today as well.
I love that story. And it's so cool that, your situation, not getting married and, chasing your husband around, but people spend so much time, energy, and effort in school with this vision and dream that they're gonna X, Y, and Z. And then so many of us never end up in that field or in that role that we originally desired to because there was a calling, right? And you were like, okay, how do I do this? But it became your natural relationship with what you do versus something that you probably wouldn't have been happy at, right?
Yeah, people keep telling me, they're like, you didn't need that MBA anyway. I had to get coached. I had like 10 coaching sessions with my peer coach that I had to be like, can you coach me that it's okay not to get my MBA? Because I really wanted it. And I wanted to focus in my MBA program on human capital and
Mm,
entrepreneurship. And my
see?
business is about human capital and entrepreneurship, which is so interesting.
It's beautiful how it falls into place. And that's why you've been so successful because it was the natural spot for you to be in. Not to get all woo-woo or whatever, but
Yeah,
I've been learning a lot through some assessments lately, and being in that natural environment is always a really things fall into place, right? When
yeah.
you're doing what you're supposed to do. So congratulations on that. That's awesome. All right.
Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit, excuse me, about time management, and not in the traditional of marking your calendar down, but working in that natural power and energy that I think really develops you in getting more done and being more productive, right?
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think time management, you mentioned that natural energy. I
Hmm.
think that is a big thing to think about is how do you currently manage time and why? And what you said about assessments, thinking about what is kind of your natural rhythm when you're at your best, I think are a good place to start when you think about time management.
I love it. I love it. Well, I've only been experimenting with this recently, off and on throughout my career, but nothing really kind of landed. I always used to do it more for the customer side so I could match and mirror the customer better. But when I did one on myself, it was really interesting. And I funny found out that some of my best working hours are like Monday afternoon from like 3 to 7 or 8. Like I'm just jamming going, and I'm like, what is that? Right? Where I thought I was always a morning girl, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, everybody's different. And I know a lot of us, if you've been in the space of business ownership or even in career and really trying to hone who you are as a career leader, you probably read different blogs that say wake up at 4 a.m.,
Right.
5 a.m., like the most successful people do work at 4 a.m. in the morning. But I find that for different people, it works differently. And part of what influences that is our life context basically. So are you a caretaker for parents or for children? Are you someone who maybe you live next to the beach, and going out at a certain time of the day is really important to you? or maybe you're volunteering. Like there's so many different things that maybe influence when we're in our natural groove. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, I feel like before I got married, it was like an hour in the morning. I'd be working on my business pursuits, and then maybe an hour in the evening.
Mm.
After having kids, it's early morning, and then after everybody goes to sleep.
Oh, right.
Basically, is when I'm doing some major work. I know I'm supposed to only be working in the during the day. I know everyone, but but before
But
everybody
you know
wakes
what?
up,
You're
right?
juggling, right?
I
You're
am juggling.
juggling the
I am.
family life and being a wife and a mom on top of
Yeah,
running a business. So we women, heads up, people out there, have to do a
yeah,
lot more because we're juggling a lot more. But I
yeah.
don't think there's any rules that say you're only supposed to work during the day, because if you only work during the day, you wouldn't be doing too much because you're taking care of the little ones.
Yeah, and then I have some colleagues that they love to travel. So
Mm,
their work is kind of around their trip to Hawaii or their trip to Paris.
mm.
They are literally working from anywhere. And so they're trying to balance living life like it's golden, delegating to a team, and still getting work done. So we all have such different contexts that surround the work that we do. So we got to figure out what works for us in terms of when you're at your best, but
Yeah.
also when it comes to the kind of life that you want to live, even outside of work.
Love it, love it. Yeah, I built my practice years ago when I left corporate and stepped into this full time and said, wait a minute, I'm super creative and I wanted to build a business that I could work with from a beach or a mountaintop, right? And as long as I had strong internet, right? And the ability to do what I wanted to do, find people to talk with, I could work anytime and anywhere. But I think I want to, I mean, I'd love to talk about the dreamscape of having that perfect environment, right? That is a lot harder than it sounds. But in reality, how do we find that window of time that we can really get more done, right? You know,
Yeah.
I guess if you're yeah, it depends, I guess, on your environment, right? Because we got people knocking on your door all the time, then there's constant interruptions, but there's always that, I don't know, the energy seems to flow better at certain times.
It's true. And what I did was I created a framework that helps people, no matter what their environments are like, to be able to identify when they can work best in the day so that they can get done the things that they need to do the most, whether that is your revenue generating activities for you, or strategic planning, or reaching out to key stakeholders, drafting marketing communications. This strategy that I created applies to all of those different things and more. So it's called Targeted Time. And so the idea of targeted time is that there are probably at least three different parts of your day that you can identify so that you can use them best.
Mm,
The first time I called your primary time. That primary time is the time when you're most alert. So for Marcia, for you, that was that Monday afternoon time. So for anyone who's listening or watching, you're thinking about, when are you at your best? Maybe that is in the morning time between 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. So
right,
think
the
of that as your
coffee's flowing,
primary time.
right?
Yeah, the coffee's flowing, your brain is like working on maximum capacity, right? Maybe that's your primary time. So then think about, when is that secondary time? So
Mm,
the time when you're kind of doing okay, but you're not at your 100%. So for me, in the morning would be my primary time. The secondary time would probably actually be that after everybody goes to sleep time for maybe
mm,
30 minutes or an hour. It's good to get some work done, some wrapping up, some answering some emails, but not necessarily my best time.
mm.
And then you have your tertiary time. This may be for you the time when you are ready to stop working because
Uh,
you're not at your best at all. You can get some stuff done, but it's not going to be strategic work or strategic communication.
mm,
So once you figure out where your primary time, your secondary time, and your tertiary time is, that's already a game changer for you. So if someone
mm,
says, "Hey, I need you on this meeting. I just need you to listen in," right? That is not critical mind space for you. That might be in your tertiary time. So you say, "Hey,
mm,
could you schedule at some point between 1 and 4 p.m.? Anytime Monday through Friday, just check my calendar. But if you could schedule it at afternoon time, that'd be great. Or like I tell certain clients, have a Calendly or scheduling system set up where for meetings, it is during your, depending on the kind of meeting, your tertiary time or maybe secondary time, depending on what kind of meeting that is. So that is one way you can think about that, right? What are the things that
It's
are
smart though.
important?
So
Exactly.
if you
And for
think about it, we really do have our prime time, and I always
we
thought my
do.
prime time was in the mornings, right? But in
Yeah.
the mornings, before 10 a.m., I'm thinking and I don't want to necessarily talk. So I've identified that. And then
Yes.
I make that window between 10 and 3 for talking appointments or client appointments or meeting appointments. And then my creativity tends to kind of kick in the afternoon, which is weird. And so now I've blindly already created those kind of windows that work for me to be able to do the stuff that I need to do. So
Exactly.
brilliant. Okay.
Yes,
So never
exactly.
schedule a sales meeting before 10 a.m. or after 3.
Depending on if that's not the right time for you and you're not going to show
Ex-
up
For
as
for
your
me,
best
I
self.
can only use myself as an example, but that's smart. That's really smart.
Yeah. And I was going to say that too, the opposite of being able to put the right thing on the right time, just like you're putting the right kind of dart on the right place, right? So is, let's say you don't like doing sales calls
Mm.
already. You don't want to schedule them at 3 p.m. at the end of your day, for example, if you're not going to get to them, for example, or if
You mean
your
the
brain is
the
just
the move it to the next day kind of exercise?
move it to the morning if it's important for you and your business. If you are a sales representative and the morning you are at your best, maybe that's when you get on your sales calls. As soon as you get into the office, you worked on your list the day before, because
Mm.
the day before in the afternoon you didn't have to think about it. You literally just pulled the list. You looked at where everyone is in terms of the communication you've done with them. 9 a.m. Hey, Bill, it's me calling you. Like, you got all the energy, you're excited, you're ready to go. Versus if you leave it to the end of the day, you may not get to it. I put that in quotations because sometimes we don't get to the things that we don't like to do.
Oh,
Yes.
I think
So
that's common more than
you may not get to it. But if that's something that's super important to you in your business, maybe it goes to the beginning of the day. Yeah. Because if you leave it to the
Brilliant.
end, this is my story. I did leave profit producing activities to the end of the day and I didn't enjoy doing them. So they didn't get done for probably could be months towards the beginning of my business.
Right.
Now they're still at the beginning of the day now. And I'm doing great. Yeah, I'm doing really, really great. But it's because they're at the beginning of the day and I realized that that's when I need to do the things that I may not be most excited about doing, but that absolutely need to get done. So there's that opposite side of what happens when you're not as strategic.
Are your podcast guest appearances leading to real business, or are you just hoping that listeners will take action? With the Profit Booster Podcast Monetization Hub, we turn your interviews into lead generating machines so that you capture, nurture, and convert listeners into paying clients. So stop leaving money on the table and get started today at profitboosterpod.com. Super important priorities that have to be done. So one of my mentors said that you have to, you put something like 3 really, at the most, 3 really important things that need to be done that day, and they have to be done first. But if you can't talk until 10 a.m., then that starts at 10, right? I mean,
Yeah.
in all reality of this made up, time calendar that we're doing, but that is really, I have to agree with you. That's the best strategy to do. And if you have to jump up and down and psych yourself up and do whatever you need to do, at least you're in the best zone to do it in.
Exactly. I like how you said the best zone. And I know golden hours, if anybody who's listening, if you've heard of that, what golden hours is the idea that this is your primary time. You have a time during the day every day or at least once or twice a week, I would say, when you do the things that are absolutely critical for you
Mm.
to do. Maybe it's the planning strategically about your business. Maybe it's reviewing what worked and what didn't work as well for your business or for your career this week and the work that you're doing. How do you want to shift? But having those golden hours where there can be no meetings, There can be
Mm,
no doing day-to-day stuff in your business or in your career that's not as meaningful, but you're doing really meaningful, important, valuable work during those golden hours. And in some cases with my clients, everybody knows. Their team members know, do not contact me during my golden hours because these hours are critical for my role.
I love it. So when are those best, those golden hours? Do they tend to be more in that primary or the secondary?
I
Where
feel like
where
they're
do those
best
normally fit in the best?
I feel like they're best in the primary time. And the reason why is these are game changing things that you can do for your business or for your career. For example, one of my mentors for speaking and training said that sometimes speakers and trainers, and I think this is anybody in career or business, can have the fear of success or the fear of failure that prevents them from moving forward on
Mm,
big deals or big contracts. So if
mm,
someone says, we have this $40,000 contract. All we need you to do is send us over a proposal. It doesn't even have to be complicated. Just
mm,
send us an idea of what it is that you hope to do for our company. So if
mm.
you find yourself saying, "Oh, I'm so busy, I don't have time, I can't." One day
Gotta
passes,
have
two
this
day
fully
passes.
built out deck that's gonna have
Yeah,
all these things in it
mm,
and bells and whistles when it
just do it. Yeah,
just
just do it, but especially do it during your golden hours. You say, hey, no meetings Thursday between 10 to 12. I will be doing my golden hours during that time. Get it done by Thursday. Or my perspective on my business is sales stuff has to happen first. So if
mm,
if it's
mm.
between like writing
Every business should
a
have the
post,
sales stuff happen
yeah,
first. I
happens
do
first.
it.
It's a $40,000 contract. Yeah. So go ahead, get that proposal out the way instead of writing the post you were going to write or talking to your vendor about something
Hmm.
or responding to emails that maybe aren't critical. Make those golden hours happen for the day. Put do not disturb, whatever you need to do uh,
Mm,
in order to make that happen. And that's why I say, in some cases, golden hours may need to happen every day, depending on your role in your
sure. And
organization.
stage of your business.
Yeah, and stage of your business, or it could be just a once or twice a week thing. For one of my clients, it was just once a week for about 2 or 3 hours, were his
Mm,
golden hours.
wow. That's really helpful because, we do. I think, and don't totally quote me, but I think it was Bill Gates that said, busy is the new stupid, right? Because
Ooh.
you do all this stuff that you think you're busy, but you're not because you're not doing those highly prioritized things in the right time, right? You're filling stupid stuff in there, like you said. Oh, I have to do this post, or oh, I have to send an invoice out, right? Which is mindless stuff, right? Even though you're getting paid, that's important, but it's something that doesn't need to be done in your highest level, in your
Yeah,
priority level, or even in your golden hours. It's just setting those priorities on the things that really have to get done and at
yeah.
the right time of the day for you.
And you know what issue comes up that you shared? For the people that I've had that are leadership development clients who they love people so much, they love their team members so much, and they do want to have an open door policy. What we've had to do was think about it as what are those times in the day when you want to be able to have that open door policy? And when are the times in the day when you really have to be driving your stuff forward, your work forward? And sometimes it's your work forward for the benefit of the people that you care about, right?
Mm,
Maybe it's those sales activities or those speaking with key stakeholders that would impact your whole team. So you
right.
can still be a heart-centered leader, but get your stuff done by putting boundaries on those kinds of interactions because sometimes those are causing leaders to feel depressed, to feel overwhelmed, to feel
Mm,
like they have no balance, to feel like they're not hitting their goals.
isn't
You
that
can
the
hit your goals and be great and still be heart-centered, but having boundaries is actually a really good example for even the people that you're serving as well.
And I think that that validates one of the challenges that I think we all face is that we're trying to multitask, right? We're wearing all these different hats. We want to be there for the team. We want to have that open door policy, but at the same time, you've got priorities of things that need to get done. And interruptions, someone had said that it literally, if you're doing a task and you're interrupted, it takes literally 10 minutes to get back into the
Mm,
cycle of what you were doing. And so now something that would have taken you, 30 minutes and you were interrupted, now is going to take you 40 minutes to an hour to get that done, which adds that much more, to your workload and your time available because you keep getting interrupted or chasing shiny objects or squirrels or whatever it is that do that. But I love the idea that if we set boundaries for ourselves, that others can find the time to fit into those boundaries.
yes.
And
And
you
you
definitely
sound
don't.
like you're talking about life in general too.
I'm
So yeah.
talking about me. But yeah, exactly. It's really important to set those boundaries for those that you're working with, clients, family, friends, spouse, even my little dog who wants to go out for a walk. I'm like, dude, it's not time yet.
Yeah. Yes, and oh, man, I'm sure you deal with this because I've seen you do great work, Marcia. I saw some of your reviews on LinkedIn that were just knocking it out of the ballpark. And so something that I've seen that you probably seen too is that there's also when people are burning themselves out because they don't have those boundaries as well. And so they're trying to do all the things that they feel they need to do in order to push their business forward. But sometimes they're also doing things that maybe are outside of their scope. And I'm going to use myself as an example. When I
Mhm.
first started my business and I was doing some coaching for some clients, and they said, I need a bio. And I would say, I can write your bio for you. Or they were like, I just need to work on my website. And I'm like, I was a PR major. I can do you don't have to pay somebody else. You don't even have to pay me. I'll just do your website for you outside of our
Oh my
sessions.
gosh.
So I be working at 10 p.m., 11 p.m. My husband is like, what are you working on? Oh, I'm just doing this website for my client. Are they paying you to do that? No, but I just figured I would do it for them because I could do it. So I was doing a lot of extra work because when you said boundaries with clients, I did not have them. So clients could text me at 10 p.m., 9 p.m. I would text them back. I would do a lot of extra work.
Mhm.
And so the problem with that is even though I love serving, I was not
Mhm.
able to show up as my best self in my work the next day.
Mm.
So, not having boundaries, even with clients, when it comes to that primary time, the tertiary time, the secondary time, can even impact the way that we're showing up in a negative way out
Mm.
of a desire to be in service. But being able to grow our companies means that we're able to have boundaries to be able to grow in the right way.
Oh my goodness. This is so good. It really
Mhm.
is. And it is timely for all of us as we, make it through, the second quarter, going into mid-year, we're having these challenges of, geez, I had a goal for my business, right? Of making X, achieving this, bringing on these people, doing this, hitting this market, whatever it is that you had a goal for. And then if we're not setting those boundaries and we're not working in our best space, our best time for us, that we end up behind the gun, right? Because maybe we're
Yeah.
not where we thought we'd be and maybe the goals that we achieved weren't quite there. Some of us may be knocking it out of the park, and kudos to you.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing? Let me know. Come on my show. But for those that aren't, having this time management and this understanding targeted time and being able to work in your best seems like a natural process that would just allow you to hit those goals and targets a lot easier.
Yeah. And I think with clients, I think they would say that that's one of the areas that I thrive is in helping them with their productivity, their performance, and the relationships that are associated with that productivity and performance at times as well, and managing those. But there's one client that I think of where a lot of these things came into play. She came to me, she was bringing in not so much in her business and had the expenses basically equal to the revenue that was coming in
Mhm.
and was on the verge of filing for bankruptcy.
Wow.
And so She went from having a very successful business in the past to just bringing in around $3,000 in revenue and then $3,000 in expenses. So 3 months into us working together, she hit the $20,000 mark for monthly revenue, and then 9 months into working together, she hit the $52,000 mark. But a lot of it had to do with the way that she was managing her time on a daily basis, how she was able to get things done, and also even that what we talked about with the sales. So her sales process was too long. She was selling a very high ticket item,
Hmm.
and she basically did like interior design. And
Okay.
so she was waiting days before getting clients quotes. So we transformed that to her being able to get the client the quote while she was in their home,
Ooh,
within minutes. Yeah. So that was a
yes.
big part
That's why
of.
they're emotionally engaged.
Yes, it was a big part of her being able to transform her business, and then delegation as well. So she had
Mm.
to organize herself in order to find someone fantastic to delegate some of the administrative things to, so she could focus more on where she thrived, which was being the visionary, the creative, the salesperson, making sure she was doing the follow up. Which were all things that were, fantastic for her. So that talks to the boundaries that we talked about, and even the primary, secondary, tertiary time, the understanding her natural flow. That client thought there was something wrong with her because she wasn't able to focus on her business. So we talked about the Pomodoro Method, which is basically 30 minutes work, take a break for 5 minutes. 30 minutes work, take a break for 5 minutes. And I'm like, during that 5 minute break, go drink your tea, walk around, talk to your family members, but come back after that 5 minute break. But for some people, again, I love how you talked about the natural flow. You need to take a break and go do something. Like go be on your phone, but for 5 minutes and then come back.
For five
That's the
minutes.
way
You
your
get
brain
set
works.
that timer.
Set the time, and she had alarms throughout throughout the day, right? If this helps somebody, and if alarms work for you, she had alarms to say it's time to go to break and it's time to come back. And this is a woman who is in her 60s, but was willing to do the work to figure out what worked for her and her business for her to thrive. So for
Oh,
anyone who's listening, again, whether you're a career professional or you're a business person, and in her case, more of a solopreneur, there are a number of things that you can do with your time that could really transform your whole life and your business.
oh, it sounds amazing to be able to have that natural flow of a day where you get the things done, you delegate a little bit. I've had guests on that talked about that all the time. But managing your own time in a way that you can do the things that you need to do. And in her case, going from 3,000 to 20,000 to 52,000, that was exactly beautiful. Get the things done that needed to be done right then and there, processes, right? That made
Yeah.
things a lot easier for her and made her more happy, made her clients happy, everything else. I just love that story, Daphne, because it really hit on everything that we all need to do in our business and our day to day to make it all work out, because business is not the easiest thing to do in the world, but you've got to be able
No.
to, it can be if you have the systems in place like you just brilliantly laid out for us. So, wow, love it. Okay. So, you've just ended on a really high note there. How can listeners find out more about you and your consulting solutions that would allow them to have that kind of a life-changing moment in their business and be able to handle more without pulling their hair out and screaming?
Yes, because I don't want anyone to pull their hair out or
No.
scream. So,
A lot of work to get
yes.
those going. We don't want to be hanging up.
No, and your hair is so cute. So, so yes, you can find me on LinkedIn under my name, Daphne Valcin. I'm on Instagram as well, and my username there is Daphne Valcin too. My website is valcinstrategicsolutions.com, but if you look up daphnevalcin.com, you can find me there as well.
Love it. And I understand you have something that'll help us, right?
Yes. So when I talked about targeted time, the reason why it's called that is because if you're thinking about a dart and a bullseye, you need the right kind of dart, right? To throw against the wall. You can't throw a ball against the wall, it's not going to work. And then with the bullseye, you want to make sure that you are positioning yourself to throw that dart in the right place, right? Either in the primary section, secondary section, tertiary section. So I created a worksheet that will help people to be able to really think through when is their primary, secondary, and tertiary times, and then also what are the right priorities that go in each of those time frames. So I call that worksheet the Targeted Time Method. Maximize your outputs, multiply your outcomes. And you can find that at daphnevalcin.com/targeted time.
Ah, brilliant. We all need a little worksheet because sometimes we just run everything up in our head and think that I can manage it while I'm juggling hats and tasks and roles in my company and trying to be a mother and a wife and, family and everything else. Sometimes it just helps to get it onto paper, the old-fashioned
Yes,
way, or onto the computer, onto paper, where you can see it and go, oh, I can do that, right? And if that's on
exactly.
paper, then, if it's there, then you can even hold yourself accountable to it. So brilliant. I
Exactly.
love the idea.
Thank you so much. And I have clients that do print these things out, so worksheets like this, and just write on it every week to plan out their priorities. So I agree, it could be on the computer, you print it out, I whatever helps you best.
I love it. Love it. Okay. Wow. Listeners, hey, thanks for tuning in today. I hope you picked up some valuable insight and actionable ideas that will help your business be more profitable. And Daphne's little tool where you print it out and figure out what are your priorities and what are the times of day that you should be working on those priority items is going to be a game changer for you, I promise. And if we can all just be like her interior decorator example that she shared, I mean, whether you're an attorney or you're a plumber or you're running a manufacturing organization, these times are important for all of us. So I would encourage you to go grab her worksheet and try it out. All right, as I mentioned, it might be time for a new, fresh perspective. My throat is just driving me crazy today. Sorry about that. That's why we're offering a free growth and marketing audit. And in just one powerful session, we'll uncover the opportunities to drive real growth in your business. And that might just be some time management that you're working on too. So another back and forth for Daphne. So if you're ready to make impact, visit profitbooster.biz and let's get started. And don't forget to subscribe. You don't want to miss future shows. You can always find Profit with a Plan on any of your favorite podcast platform. And we're looking forward to more great profitable strategies on next week's shows. So until then, make your plans and profit with them. Thank you so much, Daphne. This was really, really helpful.